we set then? Yeah. Okay. Thanks for everybody for sticking around. Everybody, seriously. Thanks a lot for Eric. Eric was supposed to play for the show for us, kind of, but we appreciate it. He's a great man. What else? We're just gonna rock out?
Just rock and roll the night.
Okay. Yeah, Dan wants to read something real quick.
I'm kind of reading this as a bait. I'm not going to say the whole thing I want to say. If people want to talk more about it after we're done, then we should just like talk about it or whatever, because it's way too complex to fucking, I don't know, preach from a stage or whatever. Sorry, I'm just got a little funny.
Come on, Dan.
I'm trying really hard, man.
You're thinking me, dude. What's it, Gaelic?
Okay, I got it right here. Religion is not intended to arouse enmity and hatred, nor to become the source of tyranny and injustice. Should it prove to be the cause of hostility, discord, and the alienation of mankind, assuredly the absence of religion would be preferable. Religious teachings are like a course of treatment, having for its purpose the cure and healing of mankind. If the only outcome of a course of treatment should be mere diagnosis and fruitless discussion of symptoms, it would be better to abandon and abolish it. In this sense, the absence of religion would be at least some progress towards unity. Furthermore, religion must conform to reason and be in accord with the conclusions of science, for religion and reason are science are realities. Therefore, these things, being realities, must conform and be reconciled, must conform and be reconciled. A question or principle which is religious in its nature must be sanctioned by science. Science must declare it to be valid, and reason must confirm it in order that it may inspire confidence. If religious teaching, however, be it at variance with science and reason, it is unquestionably superstition. That's enough.
Oh no, it's not.
everybody's tired, so I'm gonna try to work on your attention spans. Because I know my one right now is really small, probably. A lot of yours is too. So we're gonna try to keep the sets short. Music is nothing more than a means of communication. There's nothing ultimately that's universally gonna change by a band getting up on a stage or in a basement or in an arena and talking about a bunch of shit about oppression and governmental structures and different institutions like sexism or racism or colonialism, whatever. What creates a change is you, me, physically acting, going outside of our homes, meeting people, talking to people, and looking for solutions. Not something a band tells you to do, not something you read in a book one day, but real life solutions. It could be something you read in a book, but apply it, test it, internalize it. A lot of us are really upset with things around us. Some of us aren't upset as we should be. Some of us take wrong avenues with our upset, get it bogged down in aesthetics. Like I'm in a punk rock band, I got a burning flag t-shirt and I'm somehow revolutionary. A lot of us don't look at other people's positions. Like mine personally, I might be discontent with the social structure, but I benefit a lot from it. I benefit materially, my family has a nice house, nice whatever. That's the result of slavery around the world. It's a result of 500 years of genocide and colonialism in this country. The true solution is what are you going to do about it? What am I going to do about it? If I can do anything right now with this medium I have, it's to get a ball rolling in your head. Maybe get an emotion running in your heart. You gotta be doing it for a reason. It can't just be like, you know, this is what I do. I'm a punk rocker, so I say fuck America because America fucking runs the sweatshops of the globe. Or fuck America because America is trying to slaughter Arabian children for oil. It's gotta be in your fucking heart. Because a lot of us in this room benefit from it. Most people in this room are white privileged kids, you know, who are benefiting from all that shit. So if it isn't for a fucking higher reason, if it isn't for a passion, then we're gonna fucking sell out just like generations before us. Gonna fucking buy the nice car and vote Democratic and everything will be fucking okay. Or just be punk till you're 45. Let's go. What's the next song? This song's about hope! All right. This will be our...
Play another song.
No.
And then do it right before the last song.
Okay. We're gonna play another song.
Woo! Yeah, come on!
I know that many songs. Which one?
Come on!
What? I refuse.
This one's a cover.
When the walls come
Do you remember
tumbling
one?
down, John Cougar.
It's for anybody from New Jersey. Or the surrounding areas.
And Chad Rapper.
And Chad Rapper. I refuse. I refuse. Pretty much in general, this show has been about bands. To hear bands, about spreading information, about oppression, different struggles and different ideas of struggle around the world. I got my sister here, Bita. She's gonna read a letter sent to a friend of ours from this woman working on the Palestinian Peace Project. It's in reference to what Israeli soldiers did to this one Muslim man's house. You wanna read, Guzu?
Do I need to use the mic or will I be loud enough?
Use the mic.
Use the mic.
Just stand.
This field worker at law where I work, Amer, took me to go see a man whose home had been demolished. We went after work on Monday. Amer is so sweet. He doesn't have a car, so his friend Asufian showed up in a rented car to take us to this village. Don't worry, it is completely safe. Anyway, Bared, a woman who works with me, decided to come along, and we went to see this family in their home. They were building a second home on their land. The first home has 7 rooms and houses 56 people. Of course, it is not all their kids. The man who owns the land is older, and his family and extended family all live together as the norm for this area. So we came, and they gave us drinks, and then took us to see the home that had been demolished. The man and I went up to the house together, and we were just looking at it and talking, when the Israeli soldier, about 35 to 40 of them, came without warning on Saturday morning to demolish his home because he did not have a permit to build it on his own land. The soldier in charge told him, quote, "I am the son of Goldstein," end quote. He meant this symbolically to show that he hates Arabs and Muslims. Goldstein is the man that opened fire on the mosque in Hebron about 4 years ago and killed all those people who were praying. I think about 40 people died, but I can't remember. The man whose house got demolished said that this hurt him more than the destruction of his home. He said that there is not just one Hitler, but there are a million Hitlers, meaning Israelis. They sang and danced after the house was demolished in front of him and his family. He spoke Arabic and I understood it all. He also speaks English, but since he was being so clear, I spoke to him in Arabic. I cried. He was so touched, and when I told him that he was a very strong man, he said that he tries to be strong, but when he is alone, he's not strong at all. And we cried together. He said that he worked all day very hard for Israelis, so that he would have enough money to build the house, and then he came home at night to build it. It cost him 120 million shekel, which is about $35,000. When the average salary is $1,200 to $1,400 a year, this is really stunning, but not unusual for this area. People save all their lives to build a house. I don't know how they do it. They must work extra jobs and the whole family must save too. He knows that Americans have no idea about what is going on. He really knew what was up politically. Everyone here does. I asked him if I could have a piece of his house to take with me to show the people in America. I hadn't realized that the pile of rubble would still have great meaning and attachment to him until he told me to please take it. His home was my home. He said that we shared the same heart. I took pictures of him in his house. It killed me when he said, "I built this house very strong so that it would last forever. Now look." Meanwhile, they are building in the legal Israeli settlement houses for Israelis on confiscated Palestinian land directly above his home, and this small village is in the way. The Israeli government has refused to let him have water to irrigate his fields. He is amazed that his grapes and fig, olive, and Santa Rosa plum trees are growing beautifully without water, just from the rain. From Allah, he says. He is right. It is a blessing from God. He handed me one to taste from the trees, and I kept the seed in my mouth because I wanted to save it. I wanted to have that to remember him and his land and what was beautiful about this man and God's gifts, and not just pieces of the destroyed house. He says that it makes him so happy to have his trees because he thinks it makes the Israelis unhappy to see green on Arab land. He said that the Israelis like to pretend that Arabs are backwards people who live only in deserts and ride camels, that they are not human beings. He gave me a huge bag of Santa Rosa plums, and we rejoined the group. They had delicious Turkish coffee, and we sat on chairs under a tree above this beautiful valley, with poor Arab houses hanging on against Israeli pressure, and chatted with many of his neighbors who had come down. He told everyone that I had cried and was very touched. One neighbor had been offered 6.5 million shekel by the Israelis for his home, because they want to build the Israeli settlement over it, but he refuses to sell. Even though these people are very poor and could become rich by selling their land, most of them do refuse. It is really stunning. I told him that I kept the seed from the first thing that I tasted on his land, and he almost cried. When I was saying goodbye, the man said that I was like a daughter, and his home was my home, and he made me promise to come back. When his neighbors heard him calling me Binti, my girl, they all said, Binti, and were wondering what had happened in the space of an hour. I left feeling so warm and so good, which is the weird thing. I think that he felt good as well. So anyway, a piece of life from Palestine.
Impromptu joke, which we all love. Thanks for sticking around. Just remember one thing. We're members of this band, very generally speaking at this point, are just... We're not speaking for any person. We're not speaking for this man. We hope he spoke for himself, this man in Palestine. Whatever, supposedly Palestine, whatever it's called, whatever Englishman called it. We're talking to people who are part of this world, a lot of people in this room who are people who are benefiting from this stuff like we are, and we're telling you to go out and learn, meet people, make a change. As generic as that sounds, it's the only salvation we have. Otherwise, we live fucking empty lives and we sit in our houses watching TV. We never understand why we're so unhappy. We treat everybody around us like hell. We never understand why we're so unhappy. Because we're fucking living for material fucking greed. We're living for fucking shallow values. And we're living off the fucking blood of a lot of people. And that's why we're fucking sick. Thank you.